Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm starting a reading vlog because I need it. I've been pretty slumpy from February into now late March, and I'm hoping that a reading vlog can help me get back into that reading zone. And I'm specifically going to let a random number generator pick what books I want to read. Basically, I have a TBR pile of about 10 books, and I've been kind of putting them off because none of them have audiobooks, and when I'm slumpy, I tend to have a hard time reading physically. My attention span in the past couple years has just been really bad too. That's another factor. So audiobooks have been a really great help over the past year and a half, but I've run into the problem where all the books on my TBR either they don't have an audiobook, they just don't have one at the library, they don't have one that I like, so I'm stuck with a pile of books that I need to read physically. But it's a pretty small pile, so I'm not really concerned about reading books outside of that, but I have a very big to-be read list that I put on my Notion, and I have about 215 books on it. So I'm not the biggest mood reader. I do tend to pick books up when I want to read them, but I'm not normally super persuaded by my moods. So what we're going to do today is use the random number generator to pick one book off my physical TBR list and another one off my digital TBR list. So 2 books that I have to read. One of them will probably be physically read. Another I will be probably switching between audiobook and physical book, which is what I normally do. And yeah, hopefully that can help me out of my slump because I really don't know what I feel like reading. So I'm hoping this will help. So let's get started. So here is my physical TBR pile. These are currently all the books that I own physically that are here with me in my apartment. But I'm going to take a few off. So I don't want to read Yona the Dawn because I'm just gonna go read it in an hour, so that doesn't need to be an option. I'm also gonna take off She Who Became the Sun because I'm going to wait until the audiobook comes in for this. I have been waiting for the past 10 weeks, so it should be coming in a couple more weeks, hopefully. Those ones are off the TBR pile, and these are the options we have, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options. So let's put in 5 on the generator thing and generate what number book I'm gonna read. 3. So 1, 2, 3. I am reading Oath of Legacy. I really enjoyed the first book, Bonds of Brass. I really loved the audiobook narrator, and I was really excited to read this as an audiobook because I loved the narrator. Unfortunately, the narrator got changed. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna read this, which should be short, easy, fun, sweet. So now that we've done the physical book, let's pick what book I'm going to read from my digital list. So I have a max of 214 because that's how many books I have on my digital TBR list. So let's see what number it gives us. 185. Okay, let's see what 185 is. For the random number generator picked out A Psalm for Wild Built by Becky Chambers, which is a short novella. I'm excited because it's a novella. I'm also excited because I love Becky Chambers. I just finished her Wayfarer series, and yes, I'm so excited to start something new by her, so I'm definitely going to be picking this up. But yes, those are my 2 books that I'm going to be reading in this vlog, Oaths of Legacy and then A Psalm of Wild Built. Those are both very interesting choices because they're both adult sci-fi, and both of these authors do adult sci-fi very differently. This is going to be more of a fun romp, while Becky Chambers is probably going to be a little more exploratory, but I love how both of them explore characters, so I'm really excited for both. I would say both of them are very character focused. I'm very excited for this. This is going to be fun. So it's 9:30 and I got back from the bookstore a couple hours ago. My roommate and I just went to the Barnes & Noble downtown in Manhattan. I'm not going to do a haul just because I don't need to. We know what I was buying. I was buying A Psalm That Built a Wall, or whatever Becky Chamber book I wanted to buy. I also bought some manga, but I'm not sure if I'm actually going to read those because I have already read them. What I like to do when I read a manga series that I really love is I will buy the first volume as kind of a collective memorabilia item. It goes the same with anime too. If I really like an anime, normally I'll end up reading the manga and then picking up a couple volumes to kind of commemorate my love of the series. So that's what I did today, was just bought some volumes of some stuff that I really love. Here's the book. I'm gonna attempt to read it tonight, but as you can tell, I'm very tired. I'm in my bed and I'm rambling. The other thing that's going on right now is that there is the Gear Up readathon thing for the Magical Readathon, and I'm semi-participating in it. One of my prompts was to read the first book in a series, which this would also workforce, so I definitely want to finish it tonight since this is the last day of that readathon. But yeah, I'm gonna attempt to read it tonight, but I am very tired, so we'll see what happens. So it is Monday, March 21st, which means I didn't read last night, which I didn't think I would because I was really tired. It's a new day and I have tasks to get done, including reading, but also other tasks. So I'm going to go to my local library branch and get some work done there, hopefully. Here is what I'm gonna pack in my library bag. Of course, my laptop, a notepad, the charger, headphones for my phone, headphones for my computer because Mac sucks, a book, which is the new Becky Chamber book, and then my water bottle, and that'll all go in my backpack. But first, I am going to eat. I have a smoothie, and then I also have some arepas from Trader Joe's. I wanted to try them and see how they tasted, so I'm gonna fry that in the air fryer and eat, and then off to the library because it is like 1:30. Yeah, so this is the pace I move on a Monday morning, especially because I cannot get a job. It is now Tuesday, March 22nd, which means I didn't update you since I went to the library to do some work yesterday. Every time I vlog, I remember just like how bad I am at vlogging, but that's fine. So yesterday I finished my first book, which is A Psalm for the Wild Built, which of course was my digital pick. This is a pretty short novella. It's like 140 pages, so it was really easy to finish this really quickly. And this is like a post-apocalyptic future, but it's not like apocalyptic in like a bad way. It's a very like hopeful, distant future of Earth. On one side of the planet, they have nature and they just kind of leave that place alone. And then on the other side of the Earth, it's all like human settlements. And they're basically like living in harmony. They have gods that they respect and stuff. And our main character is a monk whose God is all about like human comfort and like small little comforts. And so one day they just get up and they decide that they are going to do a tea service, which basically means they go around from like village to village providing like conversation, a listening ear, and a cup of tea. But along their journey, they stumble across a robot, which is very odd because at one point all the robots just got up, stopped working, and fled into the forest, and they've never been seen again. So this is the first robot-human interaction in a very long time. This is a series, so it also fulfills my Gear Up magical readathon prompt of starting a new series. And yeah, I love this. It was super sweet, super cute. It was very like heartfelt and philosophical without being like condescending or cheesy. I thought it just really worked well for me. I even teared up at one point, so yes, I really like this and I'm glad I read it. And so yes, another book that I've wanted to read off my TBR list. And Becky Chambers just continues to be my favorite author. I have one more book to read by them that is currently out right now. And once I do that, I will have read all of her work. And yes, I love this and I love Becky Chambers. It's so good. And I think it's going to be really interesting to compare it to Oaths of Legacy, which is very much more like a fun, fast-paced space opera-y story. So like both queer sci-fi, but very different queer sci-fi. So the plan for today was to wake up a little bit earlier, which I did, but then I fell back to sleep. So today I have a couple things that I need to get done. I need to go to the United States Postal Service and send my mom back her reading glasses because she forgot them here when she visited me last week, and she lives in a completely other state across the country, so we have to do that. Of course, I want to start Oath of Legacy, but there's also a job I want to apply for, and I also just really want to take like a really nice long walk in the park since it's so sunny, and maybe even lay out on the grass. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply to the job, and then we'll go to the Postal Service on our way to the park, and then I'll sit in Central Park and it'll be so nice and sunny. I need some sunshine, so yes, that's the plan for today. So it is 7:30 and I've only read 30 pages of the book, which I read in the park. What's interesting is that this book, I was expecting it to be in dual perspective, especially because it starts off with a different character from the first book, but so far I haven't run into another perspective, so it just seems like the perspective is flipped from the first book, which is a really interesting choice because up to this point we've been very close to the other character, and now we're switching to being close with the other character. There were a lot of twists and turns at the end of the first book, so seeing the perspective of the second character is like very like painful in a way, because you kind of already know what the first character is feeling, but obviously the other character doesn't know those feelings or doesn't sympathize with them at the moment, so it's a really interesting dynamic. I feel like this book might fall into a lot of second book problems, where basically, you know, it's setting up for the third and final book, it doesn't really go anywhere or evolve the story, but I'm not really mad at it at this point. Or I'm not mad at that suspicion that that's where this book could go in, because I'm just so interested in seeing this character's opinions and like how they're feeling about this situation. It's very interesting. That's very vague. But basically, if you don't know, Bonds of Brass is a sci-fi space opera story, very romp plot-driven sci-fi space story, but it does deal with a lot of the personal feelings of the characters, which I think really balances out the more typical like plot-driven sci-fi moments. I found the first book to be really engaging as well, again, really balanced between the different elements, and I'm really excited to see where the second book goes, especially because the end of the first book was, again, very twisty. I don't know if I'll update you tonight, probably just because I won't even hit 100 pages today in this. But I did feel like I had a really productive day. I did things that I wanted to do, even though I started late, got a lot done. I didn't write today, which I have been trying to write every day, but it's okay. It doesn't need to be done every day. But yeah, I'll get back to reading and enjoying my evening, and I'll update to you tomorrow on how things are going. So I'm at the point in the reading vlog where I've forgotten that I'm making a reading vlog. It's not surprising, but I have started Bonds of Brass Book 2, Oaths of Legacy, and I am just about 100 pages in, and I've been reading it for like a week and a half. It has not been going smoothly. I've been reading it physically, the first like 80 pages, and it is, I wouldn't say dull, but it is dragging. It is very much feeling like a second book, which is really unfortunate because I really had so much fun with the first book. So the big change in this second book is that instead of following Etienne's perspective, we are now following the other main character, Gal's perspective, and we are in first person, and I'm pretty sure the first book was in close third person. And at this point in the book, spoiler alert, Gal feels very betrayed by Etienne because Etienne has revealed that he is the Emperor's son, that he is the Emperor basically of his arch rival nemesis thing. And Gal is very much in the perspective where one, not only does he feel betrayed by like his best friend and like hates him now, but he also doesn't understand like his empire that he came from probably has some issues. Like he very much is loyal to his own empire and thinks that it should be in charge of other kingdoms. And I think the author is doing this very intentionally and is going to show like Gal's growth as he realizes that maybe his empire was not just in a lot of the things they were doing, but it is very much a slog to read it, especially in such a close first person perspective. So it's basically him just like hating everybody, scheming, thinking that his empire is the better one and should be in charge. And this book is very much about him scheming. And I wish there was more about him like learning about the wrongs of his own empire and stuff, because I'm pretty sure like that's where this book is heading towards. So I don't know if first person was the way to go with this. A close third person I think would have been a lot easier to read. Basically, I think this perspective is really interesting, but I wouldn't say I enjoy being in Gal's head. He's like purposely made to be unlikable, and not in like an angsty fun way, but just in a sloggy, this is taking a lot of effort to read way. So basically, I've been reading this physically because I really disliked the narrator choice for the audiobook. They changed it from the first to the second book, and I thought it was a really bad change because I really loved the audiobook narrator for the first book. That being said, I complained about it, but I re-downloaded the audiobook because I'm just really slogging through this. I'm not getting through this. I'm not really enjoying it, to be honest. So I bought the audiobook to help me get through this book. And yeah, so I will check in when we get to the finishing point of this. But yeah, it's kind of disheartening because this whole video vlog idea was to read something that I physically owned and read something that I have on my digital TBR list. So basically the point is to try and get through some of my physical TBR lists. And the reason why I'm avoiding my physical TBR list is that it's been really much a slog vlog to get through some of these books, and not because like they're bad necessarily, but they just haven't been drawing me in. And so this book is just kind of confirming my problem that I've been having with my physical TBR list. And it's like, I don't want to get rid of anything on my physical TBR list. I still want to read it, but it has been difficult reading some of these books, unfortunately. But it's fine, we're getting there. Slowly but surely, we will get through this book and we will finish out the vlog and talk about this. So it is April 1st and I finished Oath of Legacy by Emily Skrensky last night. And I can say that my opinion hasn't really changed. This book was kind of badly paced and we were in a very close first-person perspective, which I didn't think really worked for the story. It felt like the story was set up to have Gal have a realization, to have a slow growth. It was set up to be where he slowly unlearns a lot of the problematic things that he had learned as a child, but it didn't do any of that. It didn't have him grow in any way. Didn't show him seeing the realities of what his family's empire has created. The end of the book did have that fun plot again. It picked up, thankfully, but overall, I just don't think this book worked. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. It is well crafted, but to me, if I was writing this book, I would have either done the slow pace like I had said, or I would have expedited a lot of this stuff really quickly. I think it would have worked better if Gal had been taken home to his home empire and gotten to see the problems there instead of having him imprisoned with Etienne and his stuff going. So yeah, it's really disappointing. I'm still looking forward to the third and final book to see how this is all wrapped up. Hopefully it can redeem itself, but this second book was kind of a dud, which is really unfortunate. But that is my reading vlog of having a random number generator generate or decide what books I'm going to read, my physical book, which ended up not being that great, which makes me really worried about the rest of my TBR stack, and then of course the one that was digitally picked for me, which was A Psalm for the Wild Built, which I loved so good. So at least I know that somewhere my TBR isn't a disaster. I have things on it that I want to read. But yes, again, it was an interesting experiment. Maybe I'll bring this vlog style back, having something else pick my TBR for me. Overall, it got me through a couple books, which is always great. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys later and happy reading.